quick recap. We talked about the x86 servers, and we talked about, let's say, Oracle's innovations within the x86 world. And obviously, as x86 became more and more predominant within the market, Oracle, our Sun, would have in the past been probably seen much more of a Unix house. However, they decided, because of the way Windows and the Windows operating system in x86 was coming to the fore, that they decided to bring out, let's say, x86 and a machine, a hardware device, which we've talked about this morning. Parallel to, let's say, Oracle's x86 hardware offering is a thing called a Spark server. At the moment, it's called the T-Series. When you're having conversations with customers, you might come up with a thing called E-Series, you might come across V systems, you might come across T3 servers, you might come across T2 servers, you might come across V-Series servers. So those are all the previous generations of the iteration of this chip. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what Spark is, going to go through some basic concepts, introducing Spark T4, key advantages. We're going to talk about the optimization for the Oracle stack. So what is Spark? The term Spark was used for a thing called scalable process architecture. It refers to the architecture which was developed by Sun in the late 80s. So remember what the time scale here, we had the 8086 was launched by Intel in 1978. So we're going to talk about some concepts here, okay? Single-threaded performance and multi-threaded performance, okay? So you ever heard of things about, it's a single-threaded performance, it's multi-threaded performance. What does that mean, okay? Well, basically, chip designers have been able to the design of chips has got so small and so minute that the chip can carry and handle multiple loads simultaneously, okay? And sometimes it does it in different ways, and some chips are better at handling types of data, types of, let's say, throughput in different ways, and some chips are better at handling heavy loads through one way and multiple single loads through another. Good way to analogize this would be, let's say, think of an e-commerce site. You're selling to, let's say, you're selling on the web. For instance, somebody like eBay, for instance, somebody like Amazon. Amazon would have multiple thousands of concurrent users, all logging onto their site simultaneously. So you're on a website, you're ordering a book, you're ordering a CD. So they'd be doing things concurrently. So therefore Amazon and eBay, for instance, would have, let's say, rely on multiple threaded architecture, okay? But let's say you've got a large stream of data, okay, that you just want to, let's say, for business intelligence purposes. Let's say your store card, okay, and you need to crunch an awful lot of numbers very, very quickly, okay? You just need something for single-threaded performance. So historically, Sun brought out an M-series server, which we're going to talk about, but it's some of it is gone end of life. M-series would have been suitable for this sort of a workload, and the T-series would be suitable for this sort of a workload. So single-threaded, multi-threaded performance, okay? So what we got here is we've got our Spark T4 server generation, our T4 server family. Now, obviously, it's a generational thing. So the thing that came before it was the T3, okay? What's the great thing, difference between the T3 and the T4? Is it's 5 times per thread the performance compared to the T3. Now what it also has is it starts at 16K, so it's a very, very, very good competitive Unix operating system box to start out for a customer, for enterprise. Okay, so it starts from 16K up to 160K, depending on how you fill the box. Okay, so depending on how many hard drives, what type of networking. Okay, so that's the type of box. So it rotates from a T41 to a T41B. This is the blade, so this sits on a chassis. This is the T41. This is the T42, up to the T44. It's a new processor as well with the T4, so it's called a T4 processor. So what's it got? It's got 3 gigahertz in speed. It's got a lot of cache, so it can hold an awful lot of things in memory. It's got 8 cores. It's got dynamic threading, okay? Enhanced built-in encryption and built-in virtualization. Dynamic threading, this means that, remember we talked previous? We talked about the single and multi-threaded applications. The T3 was very, very good at multi-thread. You needed an M series if you wanted single-threaded. Now with the T4 chipset, the dynamic threading allocation means that the chip can dynamically move resources in relation to the workload that is passing through. So what it means is it sees, oh, I'm working on an application where I've got a lot of simultaneous users. So I'm going to associate or give a lot of threads to that to the process there. But then I'm going to dynamically change if this workload changes. So it looks at the workload coming through, and it automatically detects the type of workload that's coming through, and it dynamically allocates resources to cater for a single or a multi-threaded task, threaded task. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's multi-threaded and
yeah, it will dynamically reallocate its resources. It's clever, right? What else does it have? Okay, these are fairly busy slide. Apologies for it. Okay. What it also does, it has a thing called on-chip encryption. So as the data goes in, it will encrypt it. Okay? So it's an extra security function. Okay?
Yeah, I've been trying to understand this for a while.
I explained that to you. Have you been training?
So we just quickly go through the features because there's a lot to get to this afternoon. But so it's got faster single-threaded, shorter. So what does that bring? The faster single-threaded processing means that you're going to boot your machines quicker and get up and running. You can fail over faster, depending on how your architecture is. It's got integrated encryption engines. This is the onboard encryption. Okay? The IBM do not do this with their P7, which would be IBM's equivalent competitor product of this. They don't have it, neither do HP. Okay? 3 times faster security for data encryption. So what's the benefit to the customer? Reduces costs, okay? For secure data center operation without a performance hit. Problem with a lot of the encryption, let's say, technologies, methodologies, is that you've got to change the nature of the data once it goes in and change the nature of the data once it goes out. So sometimes there's performance hits, okay? Feature is the multi-threaded architecture. It's keeping with the T3 systems of levels of throughput. Time saved due to no application changes for the T4 systems. You didn't have to change any applications if you moved from a T3 to a T4. This also ties in with the next key feature, which is a thing called binary compatibility. Now, if you had worked, let's say, Sun Microsystems, when they brought out their servers, they were very good. And they used to actually do exactly what they said in the tin, and it didn't break very often. So you could have people running 10-year-old applications on 10-year-old hardware. Okay, obviously that's not very, very good from, let's say, a disaster recovery or a business continuity, or let's say if one of your hard drive breaks, and eventually you want to swap out your hardware. Okay, now this binary compatibility means that the customer can now run his applications that, for instance, he developed 10 years ago with, for instance, Solaris version 2.6, okay? He can now run them in a virtual manner on the new hardware. What does that mean to the customer? Why is that a benefit? That means he doesn't have to upgrade all his applications just because he's moving to new hardware. For some customers who've written an application and their business methodology, the way they work, has remained the same, they don't see the need or the cost to update their applications, okay? So for instance, IBM do not do this. So here's an example of what happened when IBM moved from AIX version 5 to AIX version 6. If you had written an application against AIX version 5, you had to recompile it. You had to redo your application to function in AIX 6. Okay? So what's the beauty of it? You don't have to modify your applications. Very, very quick to deploy. What else comes with this? We've different options for virtualization. It comes actually built in to the server. Okay? Right? So it's logical partitioning and live mobility. So if you've got a system up and running live, you can actually move it to different servers. You've got to think of live migration, right? Which VM arguably do not have, okay? And it's difficult and intricate with, let's say, IBM's virtualization technology, okay? Improved uptimes for critical services, higher system utilization rates, okay? What's a new feature again? Solaris 11, the latest flagship operating system from Solaris. The versions of Solaris you'd probably hear about would be 8, 9, 10. The most recent is 11. When I started out in the Sun world, it was 2.6. Okay, so it's come a long way. So it's reliable, secure, streamlined. And what's the beauty of Solaris 11? It's faster. Okay? Any questions, guys?
So, going back to the question of binary operativity, just trying to understand.
Binary compatibility, yeah.
So what you're saying is that when they have got the old application, you don't have to recompile it, you just have to start working on it.
You just have to bring it up in a virtualized zone.
And then and when you're talking about, this is talking about from Solaris to Solaris or any from to Solaris?
With whatever application you developed on, let's say Solaris 2.6 or Solaris 8, okay, you can bring it up within a virtualized zone on Solaris 11. Okay?
The customer is running on, for example, AIX, they have to recompile.
If the okay, what happened with, for instance, applications written against, for instance, AIX version 5, when the customer turned around and wanted to update to AIX version 6, or when IBM released AIX version 6, they had to recompile their applications written against AIX 5 because they wouldn't work.
If they move to Solaris, then
Really, well, you see, the thing about it is,
They have to recompile for Solaris anyway.
they would have to recompile.
I'm
It's,
just trying to understand how complex
Remember-
it is, how easy it is.
the Unix to, okay, how complex is it? That's a Unix question, okay? So that's the difference between the flavors of Unix, AIX, HPUX, and Solaris. Okay, for instance, okay, ls space minus L is a command which lists directories in Unix. It is the same on AIX, it's the same on HPUX, it's the same on Solaris. However, if you put, let's say, different options on that command, it will give you different outputs for different operating systems. So it is not a uniform thing, which means the cross-operability or the migration between those flavors of Unix is something that it always will involve a recompile. Some easy, some more difficult, depending on what the application is doing. Okay?
This particular feature, is it good to talk to the customers who are our Oracle install base,
Yes.
and they are thinking, for example, we are competing against IBM or any other competition?
IBM, for sure. Go back. So we go back.
Yeah.
IBM, for sure. Binary compatibility, don't have it.
Not have it, so.
Also, another thing, IBM, oh, you're using LPAR virtualization with IBM. That's a license fee. Okay?
Okay.
From a competitive standpoint, that's where you come at the customer with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. They will not have to recompile their application if they are running on a virtualized environment, right?
No.
This is what you're saying.
Okay, but let's say, okay, well, let's say I had it. Okay, let's say I had Solaris 8 with Oracle Database 9. Okay, running WebLogic, let's say, okay, on a Solaris, let's say a V series Solaris machine. Okay, and I say, yeah, want some new hardware. Okay, it comes with Solaris 11. How am I going to go forward? I do not want to A, recompile. I do want to B, upgrade. I don't care. I will pay the extended support prices. Because remember one other thing, when a customer is using very, very old legacy software, okay, and he does not want to patch and to upgrade, that comes at a premium from support points of view and licensing points of view. So for Oracle database, for instance, whereas I'm not sure what the, let's say, the cost per year for the per core is, but I notice if they want to run an older version of Oracle database, they, you know, from a support point of view, the customer has to pay a bit more, which is understandable. I mean, because the customer is reluctant to move to the latest and greatest. So the analogy was customers on Solaris version 9, Oracle database version 10, for instance, with WebLogic, okay? And he wants to run, he's running on a V-series server with that, and he wants to move to a T4. The way he could do that, he could open up, he could install, he could migrate out his existing system to the T4 into a virtual container. Yes. Do you understand?
But still, if they are moving not into a virtual machine, but directly on the...
They can't do it. They can't.
To recompile.
Yes. If they want to, because if they wanted to move directly, remember they're going to be running Solaris 11. They've written their application.
IBM doesn't offer the same capability of
No.
moving on a virtual machine.
No. LPARs, no. When IBM, okay, I was working for a company and IBM moved from AIX 5 to AIX 6. Okay, so they said, hey, great, we're bringing out a new version of AIX. Everybody who had written applications to install an AIX for version 5 had to recompile their applications.
So I understand. So this means that you bought a new machine with a new version of Solaris, let's say Solaris 11, but actually you are using the old version.
For instance, yeah. Yes. That's what people do. Because basically, think of it like this: I'm running my mission critical applications on a 4-year-old, and I'd say a 6, 7, 8-year-old machine. The machine's working fine, but what happens if a component breaks? I'd prefer for my own security to be on more modern, newer, more recent parts.
But in terms of performance and resources, you're not compromising.
Who knows?
You can
No, what I'm saying is with moving to this, you can probably gain a performance increase. I'd say in the vast majority of cases, yes, for sure, you will actually get a performance increase. Because you're talking about 8, 10-year-old technology versus the latest and greatest. From a processor point of view, from speed.
I mean, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, if the operating system is now running the virtual machine and the application. What I'm trying to say, isn't it faster? Wouldn't it run faster if they recompile everything instead of putting the virtual machine in the middle?
Potentially, but they just might not want to recompile. They might potentially work faster, but they've got to do all that work.
Yeah, I think for example, in government organizations where things work almost like a lot of municipalities, they are using the same application.
Exactly. They're resistant to change.
They can't change it. They need approvals. They need people
Yeah.
to come
Exactly.
verify what they are doing, and by the time they do that,
Yes, you got to think. There's a lot of things. There's a thing called Sarbanes-Oxley, okay, which is a law in the U.S. And because so many bigger companies are transnational, they're global. So, for instance, if you're Sarbanes-Oxley compliant with, for instance, Bank of Scotland in the U.S., generally what happens, they adopt the same procedures in the U.K. and in Germany. So they don't have to, let's say, certify themselves to a certain level. They'll try and do it all across the board similarly within organizations. Okay?
All of these organizations have got their suppliers also. They want to.
Exactly.
Suppliers want to stick to the same application as the bigger company.
Okay. So once again, what we're talking about the full stack and the T4. It's optimized for Oracle enterprise software. Okay? Scales to meet all the data center needs. Okay, all the workloads. It's 5 times better than the previous one, which is the T3. Okay, it's very secure. There's wire speed encryption on this. Okay, so it doesn't take an overhead of having to go to somewhere, encrypt the data, unencrypt it as it goes out. Okay, it's faster performance for Oracle. It's been designed with Oracle WebLogic Suite in mind. IBM do not do this for AIX and WebSphere. Okay? They don't. Okay? Oracle Solaris are optimized for Oracle applications. with the built-in virtualization and power management software I was talking to you earlier on. So basically, if the chip has got a specific functionality, and you can actually set this yourself as a sysadmin, you can go in and say, okay, I know nobody's going to be online at the weekend, so bring your power down. Okay?
Do we have templates for these settings instead of every time somebody going and configure it?
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah.
each scenario.
That would be beyond the scope of today, but I've got some information. Ping me a mail.
So
Okay.
can I ask you, like, for example, when you say optimized, can you give me like top 3 points? What do you mean by optimized?
Well, what I mean by optimize is that, let's say, you're on a database. When a developer are writing code for, let's say, a new release of the database, they're writing the code for the Oracle Solaris machine. So basically, the people who develop, let's say, Oracle, for the people who develop, let's say, the Oracle Solaris operating system, they're working closely in conjunction with the people. They sit in the same building. Whereas opposed to IBM, through the way it did its acquisitions, for instance, would the DB2 people be talking to the AIX people when they're developing a product? I don't think so. Would the WebSphere people be talking to the DB2 people? Would they have the same, how would we say, integration that we have? I don't think so, the way IBM operates. Okay? Does that make sense? We go further into the competition in the next session, the next few slides. So obviously, with Solaris, what happened was that you had the iterations of Solaris. You went from 2.6. I think very briefly there was a version 8. Then all of a sudden it was 9. Then it was 10. Now it was Solaris version 10 for about, I think about 6 years. And then Oracle acquired us and said, hey, you've under-invested into your flagship operating system. We're going to give you some money, do some R&D. So they brought out Solaris 11. Okay? Best designed for cloud infrastructure. Okay? It's got a thing called Solaris Zones. It's got network virtualization. It's got a thing called ZFS, which is called Zone File System, which is a really, really granular way within which you can look at, let's say, what's going on your operating system. Okay? If you wanted something like similar for this on an IBM point of view, you'd need to pay a license fee for something like Tivoli. Okay? If it was HP, you might have to pay and buy BMC Open Patrol or BMC Patrol. Okay? These are the other products. They're all add-ons that you get for free with the Solaris operating system. It's very scalable, big data, built-in deduplication, compression, crypto analysis. Okay? It's fast, secure boot, database startup, mistake-proof patching, and fast upgrades. Okay, and these are technical terminologies that, for the purpose of this, I don't really want to get into, but suffice to say it's very, very secure. Any questions? We're going to go. So that's the T4 system. Let's go back quickly to the products you guys are going to be dealing with. The T4.1, T4.4, T4-2, T4-4. So what's happened now is we've brought out a T5 system, okay? Okay, so how are we going to position the T4? Where does it come in? Whereabouts in the enterprise do we use a T4 server? What are our target applications? What's the key message? Refresh older Spark. There's hundreds of thousands of these machines out there, and we're only just touching, we've only got the tip of the iceberg, okay? Because it was so popular, especially amongst universities, especially with medical institutions, okay? It was a really, really popular hardware alternative to IBM and HP UX, okay? People just liked running it. They liked it had a great name for, let's say, reliability, stability, okay? Basically, what happened through competition, potentially Sun might have lost its way through the early to mid 2000s in regards maybe the way they worked with their partner model. I'm no specialist in it, but there are many reasons that, let's say, Sun kind of lost its way in regards the competition, IBM and HP, Hewlett Packard, especially in the Unix market. Okay. So when we're positioning a Spark T4, we have a few scenarios. What do we say if the customer is an x86 legacy? So we've got older x86 and we need a refresh. Customer needs RAS. Customer needs HA. Customer that needs high performance. Customer that needs multi-threaded software. If the customer is a Spark Solaris Unix legacy, go for multi-threaded software. Okay? Go for, let's say, oh, we're bringing out a new e-business solution. We're selling online. We expect we're going to have, let's say, we're going to treble our concurrent, let's say, connections via our e-business suite, or let's say our e-business application. Doesn't necessarily have to be an Oracle product.
Can I ask you, so what are the, if customer is looking at moving from x86 to T4?
Yeah.
What are the possible changes they have to do in their, for example, in terms of training their staff, in terms of their infrastructure?
Well, there's, let's say, the challenges the customer would have, and we do have an education system here. So people can, let's say, do online courses or come to various facilities to learn about, let's say, Spark, to learn about Solaris, to learn about how to administer the machine and the operating system. So, you know, a challenge for an x86 move would be, I'm a Windows house, we only like Windows here. Okay, your retort is, well, how much you pay Microsoft for the licenses? Okay, that's one. Number two, also, if it's a sysadmin, have you any Unix experience? I have loads. I used to work on a Unix machine. Okay, you say, well, you might just need to brush up on a few skills. Or else, if it's a sysadmin, you go, well, this will look nice on your CV. You're also a Unix administrator. Okay, you've got some Solaris experience. Okay, so when we're talking the x86, those are the two things I would focus upon. So what are the target applications when we're, let's say, trying to sell Spark? We're looking at network infrastructure workloads to support deliver web and transaction-based services. Looking at middleware, for example, Oracle Fusion, okay? Maybe Fusion CRM. It's a customer relationship management product you're selling. It's JD Edwards, okay? It's very, very advisable for you guys to become very familiar with the product stack and what they do, okay? Because there's a thing called, we like to encourage cross-lob activity, which is line of business. So I'm selling hardware, always ask the question, what's the hardware going to be for? Oh, we're developing this in-house customer relationship management application. Well, how long are you spending? How many lines of codes? And well, we've got something out of the box here that might just need a few tweaks. It's going to save you thousands of hours of development. It's going to save you hundreds of thousands of hours in integration and delivery and rollout. So the advanced Spark T4 processor provides you with the onboard encryption features, which are on the chip, okay? And they've got cryptographic accelerators that will provide you with wire speed encryption. That's it's big for a lot of customers. You're talking to your defense customers, okay? So you're talking to the military. You're talking to security agencies. You're talking to police forces. This is very important for them, okay? Very, very important. So you want to know what a target market is. So what does crypto acceleration mean to me? Well, you're working in the military. You don't want hackers getting in, having a look at what's going on, okay? These are the sort of questions and, let's say, discussions you have with the customer. Where else? You can go, let's say, up to 128 threads in a compact 2 ORU, remember the pizza box I was talking about, on a single system. So for application developments, it means that, let's say, your developers can be, let's say, working concurrently in virtualized manner on one box, okay? Which is really, really scalable and really, really good. So, remember we were talking about CRM? Siebel, customer relationship management here. Another one, let's say JD Edwards. Depending what let's say, what line of business. Oracle covers business from everything. I mean, education, like military, medical, aircraft manufacturing, automotive manufacturing. Like we really do encompass everything when it comes to the industries that we serve. Local government, regional government, and also because Java is so important now for for your handheld devices. Where's my phone? Anyway, Java, you've got something in here. When you turn this on, it says Java. When Oracle acquired Sun, they acquired Java too.
Right.
So that's why the web-based applications, what runs the web, what runs your handheld, what runs your tablet.
Java, mostly.
So anything Java, and they want fast performance, err on the side of a T4 as opposed to an x86. Okay? Just purely because it's better for this type of application. Okay? So what else is to play for the Java? Consolidation, free virtualization, and far, far faster and far, far scalable virtualization than VMware on x86. I mean, and there's a load and a lot of material out there, and I'll send you the links after, which will, let's say, underscore the let's say, advantage of our virtualization.
Do you have any case study wherein customers are using crypto accelerator? I mean, we've heard
We do,
before, but
but-
do we have any case study which says that because they used this, they found they didn't have to go for other security solutions because our hardware gave this. Now I know we have other case
No,
studies.
for military.
No, not military. It can
Government.
be used. Crypto
They
accelerator
will
can
go
be used
for
even in
this or
banks.
something
It can
else.
be used in PayPal.
It comes with it, so it can be used anyway. It's yeah. So do we have?
a case study which talks about it?
Yes, I think we do. I'll find it, but I don't have them off the top of my head, but there are some there for sure. There's an awful lot of wealth of information out there about it.
Just the crypto. What's called?
Yeah, it's great. It really is. It's very, very good. What is your target, let's say, applications? What are we talking about? ERP, CRM, supply chain management, accountancy, Oracle Financials, SAP, lifecycle management, OLTP, online transaction protocol. So that's your web-based interface, your web, let's say obviously the e-commerce, as I've said before, and leading into the internet infrastructure. Web, your email, your Exchange server, Beehive, okay? Actually, your Exchange server, take that one away. Freudian slip. Exchange won't be working on this. But for other Java-based apps and stuff, it will certainly function.
I would like to add one point here.
I think Lotus Notes from IBM actually used to run on Solaris. Not sure if it still does, but I know it used to. Yeah. Lotus Notes being IBM's email. We've got Oracle Beehive email. Okay? But just if you needed to know what the competition was out there using.
In fact, we have to actually target IAS customers a lot.
Okay.
Oracle is moving towards WebLogic. We are not going to develop on IAS. So all the customers who are looking for moving from IAS to WebLogic,
Gotcha.
they are the best customers right now to target on.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So key messages: refresh older Spark, IB, industry buyback. Okay, so when you're talking about somebody who's already got a Spark infrastructure in there, okay, and you're having a conversation, going, the price is just 5% too high. So hang on a minute, you've got older Spark infrastructure. We can leverage a bigger reduction if you buy from me. Okay, so if you refresh from us using the Spark infrastructure, we will give you a greater reduction. Okay. So there's an industry buyback plan that you guys could access. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the key messages for the Spark?
Can you send some information? Is there any link from where we can get this information?
The IB back? Yeah, I will send a link for the. I mean, will you just take a note of everything I've got to send you so I'll remember,
Yeah, I'm just making.
So we got the key messages again: increase performance, protect the software, and the training investments. To get a good Solaris admin together, sometimes you have to pay a premium for these people, but serious businesses are willing to pay the premium. Okay, so if you've got, let's say, legacy Spark hardware, if you've got a V series, T2000, T3000, E series, that's all older Spark kit. Okay, if you hear any of these things, say, well, you're already Solaris admin. Why would you throw it out and go with Linux when you've spent all this time and effort in becoming a specialist in Solaris, for instance? So protect the software and training investments that the company themselves, that your customer might have done, okay? They're getting more availability. They're getting increased security. For sure, they're getting better virtualization. In some respects, it reduces their licensing costs. Point in question, if you're talking to somebody who's on a P-series with AIX running Oracle database, his core factor on that database is 1. So for licensing purposes, it's 1. So let's say if he's paying €10 for his license, okay, on the AIX system, if he moves to Solaris with Oracle database on Solaris hardware, sorry, Spark hardware, the core factor license is 0.5, okay? Now obviously don't say that too loud if you're talking to guys from, well, look, if you're talking to guys from your database colleagues, because all of a sudden they're going, hang on a second. It's in my interest for these guys to stay on AIX because of the licensing fees. Yes, you'll say, don't have this conversation too loud when you got one of your database colleagues sitting beside you, okay?
We can have with our OD counterparts.
Exactly. Okay, but you know, that's the secret that we like that they all know about, so they don't trust us. But just remember, you know, the core factor license, for instance, for Oracle database on AIX or is 1, for instance. It's double the price, yeah. To buy and for support.
And we can use containers or zones and further do sub-capacity licensing.
Exactly. But we don't go into sub-capacity licensing here.
I'm sorry?
We are not doing sub-capacity licensing on this course.
We are allowed to do
We are not, I'm not delivering anything about sub-capacity licensing. That's a different discussion.
You mean to say if they use LDOMs, they are not allowed to?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, for what I'm delivering today and tomorrow, I'm not going into.
Okay, you're not going into that.
No. That's a different rat's nest I'm not opening up today.
Hornet's nest.
Exactly. What's the sweet spot? What do you like to hear when you make a phone call? Oh yeah, we've got V-series systems. Customer Spark servers that are 3 or more years old. We've T3 systems. T2s, T2000s, yeah.
T3s are 1 year old.
T3, yeah, T3s wouldn't be such a sweet spot at the moment, okay? But it'll be getting there, okay? So maybe another 2 years, that's your sweet spot for the T3. So customers running Oracle database, okay, but they could be running WebLogic as well, okay? Customers need more computing capacity, high security requirements.
Just one question for you.
Yep.
The processing capacity of T3 was 1.65 and T4 was 2.8 if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And the number of cores decreased from T3 to T4. The number of threads increased from T3 to T4.
Yeah.
So how does it affect cooling? Does that mean power consumption and cooling of T4 is not should be equivalent to T3? I'm sorry, T4 is more than T3 or is it less than T3?
I don't know the answer to that question. So I'll have to get back to you on that. Can you write that down? That's another email. Unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't know. Yeah. I thought, though, that...
because the number of cores decreased, but the horsepower increased.
Yeah, but see, I think what they did was, the number of cores, but what they did was they got a different fan in, right? The machines come with fans as well.
Swappable fans too,
yes. Okay. So they got a different fan in, and whatever way they configured it, the fan was able to, let's say, offset the increase in, let's say, electricity or the increase in power usage through cooling, but through designing it, it's slightly different. But I could be wrong. I will check that out for you, okay? What else? Sweet spots continued. Pardon? Customers who are... So where else are we going? We're going customer sweet spots continued. Customers who are considering consolidating older Spark servers. Straightforward, Spark customers, the idea of Exadata or Exalogic engineered systems, don't want to move to Linux.
The last line needs to be changed, because we no longer have end of service life policy anymore.
Okay. Can I just go back and take that out, Will? Let me just do that right now. I know it's not.
You could correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope. We don't. You see, it's a bit. That's another grey area. So, I'll take it out.
We decided to do live
No,
chat
thanks for
support.
pointing that out because I'm kind of that was a grey area.
But
We'll support all customers till we have availability of parts.
Okay, we'll move that and go back.
Save.
Okay, rewind. Sweet spots continued. Customers considering consolidating older Spark servers. That's the easy one. It's like, oh, we're already a customer. We're on T2000s or whatever. Spark customers who like the idea of an Exadata or Exalogic, but don't want to move to Linux, or they don't have the budget for it. Good, okay? Exadata, Exalogic are not cheap deployments. They're not cheap machines. When you talk to when you put licenses on top of them, it's like stratospheric the price. Okay? So what might happen is, let's say customers they're running an online campaign. They don't know if it's going to be a success. We need this hardware to run that campaign. Then we might talk to you about that or that. Okay? If it gets legs, momentum. Okay? Customers who need 7x24, I would also put by 365 mission critical systems. They need availability, they need to be up 7x24 by 365. Critical availability requirements. Okay? Highly threaded applications. We've talked about that. We saw the rivers, we saw the waterfalls with the multiple, let's say, streamlets and then the one big gush of water.
Could add one or two more points to this. I mean,
For
one,
sure.
Security. I've
Security.
seen a lot of customers that can't
Onboard
want
encryption.
To use Linux. No, they don't want to use Linux because Linux is like Oracle calls it Red Hat, Oracle Linux, Red Hat calls it Red Hat Linux.
Yeah,
But Solaris is one of the most secure operating systems in the world.
absolutely.
Proven. And a lot of customers are really happy that Oracle stopped Solaris being a free source anymore.
No, what you're saying, I mean, I really like, every time you hear, oh, we got hacked, the thing that annoys me, oh, we got hacked, what were you running, or what systems were you running? They never tell you, okay? But invariably, it's I have to call it here, it's some sort of Microsoft information server at the front end. Microsoft security is like a Swiss cheese in some respects. It's got more holes than the Swiss cheese, okay? This stuff, because of the nature of Unix, because of the way it's been developed, it's got file level. You can lock it down, you can lock it down, you can lock it down, okay? Very difficult for hackers to get at it.
And another is reducing floor space. The older series machines were big monolith machines.
That's another one. So when we go back,
Just for floor space from 4:1 consolidation or 6:1 in some cases. 8:1 is a too real idealistic number, but does not happen. 6:1, 4:1 is ideal.
for sure, it's obviously data center consolidation. That's another very, very big one. Remember I was telling you about the gas prices in America? You know, a lot of these V series servers, they would have been developed in like 98, 99, and they would have, let's say, maybe came out in 2001, 2002, 2003. These guys developed this one. The cost of power was not a concern to them because it was so cheap. It wasn't a factor. So you got to remember, what is your data center costs? You've got 35, 40 boxes. Sometimes some of the consolidation gains we can get with these sort of, so we're going to talk further about consolidation in another module. I'll do a few examples for you, but you can get 10 boxes down to 2, okay, 20 boxes down, you know, I've heard 80 boxes down to 4, right? It's hard for us because we like to sell more boxes, of course. But to reduce your data center costs, it's very, very important, okay? So that's definitely one that, yeah, you're absolutely quite right, point taken. But we do go into this further on in this course, so we do take that into account. Okay, what are we going to talk about? Segment leaders, how we stack up against them. I mean, when I'm blue in the face talking about it, this is getting like, what are we running up against? HP, Dell, IBM, okay? Total cost of ownerships, again, examples, 3 and 5 years. I think it's very similar to the last one. Advantages. The most pervasive Unix operating system, okay? The most downloads, the most installs worldwide of any Unix-based operating system is Solaris. It's the most widely used, okay? So if we're talking about AIX, if we're talking about HP UX, Solaris is the most widely downloaded and used, okay? Now, somebody will turn around and hang on a second, that's not right. Got to remember, x86, Solaris will run on an x86 chipset, okay? And IBM were actually selling x86 machines with our operating system on it.
Yes.
IBM were actually selling it
Yeah.
because it was a good proposition for people. So some people would jump all over me and go, no, wait. But when you include the x86 downloads that have happened of Solaris for x86, it's the most widely used or widely downloaded one out there. And we've actually, when we're talking about our backwards binary compatibility, we've got, let's say, a legal notice to say we will guarantee that your applications will run on legacy Solaris versions. So we're talking 8, 9, and soon to be 10. Okay? Real world security, proven scalability, and we've got our predictive self-healing. Okay?
You forgot ZFS?
ZFS as well also, but I think it comes next. And we've got a lot of built-in enterprise functionality that comes standard, okay?
Just a little curious, is there any difference between Solaris or Spark?
Pardon?
Is there any difference
Yeah?
between functionality in terms of Solaris which is used on Spark versus Solaris which is used on x86 in terms of functionality?
Good question.
You know,
I-
there's something missing. I know ZFS is present both sides.
Yeah.
What is missing? If there's something missing, then it's a good value proposition for us to tell them.
Mhm. I don't know. I'd have to find out. Sorry.
Can you write it down?
Yep. Another one.
Can you repeat the question?
Is there any difference in terms of functionality of Solaris used on Spark versus Solaris which is provided to be used on x86 or IBM HP?
Normally there shouldn't be.
No, you don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but
we
naturally.
can engineer our OS. Like we can
Competing against Titanium, this whole slide is dead. Intel declared it. They're
Yeah.
selling it.
So, now, okay, this might just be slightly a bit old, but there's still a point to be made when you're talking about HP-UX customers running Hewlett-Packard's operating system. Say, well, what are you going to do? In Titanium, there's no roadmap. Hewlett-Packard seems to be in disarray at the moment. Okay? So what did HP used to do? They had processor at low speed, which would be similar to the T3, but not a multi-threaded processor.
We'll start selling Spark.
Exactly. There's no, HP do not have a complete solution. There is serious lack of applications in between in their stack. We can't even talk about the fact that they have a stack. Do they have a stack? Do they have a fully integrated stack like we do? I don't think so. Okay? You're going to get 5 times the performance improvements across a wide range of Oracle.
It was not a multi-thread chip.
Pardon?
It was not a multi-thread
No.
chip. Then why did it?
I don't know.
Why
I
did
don't
it
think
get
so.
so famous all of a sudden? I mean, there was a time when IBM was selling like hot cakes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Microsoft selling as a hot cake over the thing.
Well, remember Vista? Was it Vista from Microsoft? That's all like hotcakes. Did anybody have any fun working with that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
you're right.
know, that was a complete train wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so even though it sold a lot, it was a nightmare from the get-go, and I got rid of it very quickly.
So,
So, and the one thing as well, because HP like to push the blades, blades most of the times is not the suitable solution for a customer. Again, no full stack, no co-engineered solutions, and no virtualization again. They're weak on those sort of fronts. So that's competing against HP. HP is the easy one. IBM, in my opinion, is the difficult one.
And in fact, Oracle used to offer a program called Cache for Clunkers.
Exactly, cache for
Give
clunkers.
your HP machine and we will give you
We'll
50%
even
discount
take it out and we will ecologically friendly, in an ecologically friendly manner, dispose of your HP junk.
on a new machine at 50% flat pre-approved discount.
do we have that now?
It is only
Cache for
M-
clunkers.
Yes, Cache for Clunkers.
I would look at the IBB. Remember the previous slide,
But
industry
not right
buyback.
because M8000, M9000 are going end of life.
Okay.
It was because those super drones.
Yeah.
It was only HP super drone and half drones.
Yeah.
Cache for clunkers, and
But-
it was equivalent to M5000, M5000
Yeah.
on the very low.
Terminology alert. The name of the HP's, let's say, flagship Unix offerings was called Superdome. IBM, people are going to talk about IBM mainframe, and they're going to talk about IBM P series. So if you hear P5, P6, the current range is the P7. Excuse me. Okay?
After Rocker, that was just an offer because M8000, M8000, M9000, you could still give 50% without even telling it.
Okay. So basically, comparing against T4 between IBM's Power 7 processors, comparing apples to bananas. For instance, the Power 7s have got would have a high frequency chip. So in other words, they come in at 4 gigahertz. So it's not always about the speed of how fast this processor is running. But that's what IBM always claim. They always claim. Okay? Now our claim is that we're 7 times price to performance ratio better than IBM's equivalent. Okay? We'll have some diagrams later on. Okay? No virtualization costs for us. Oh, you want to use IBM LPARs? Can you give us some money, please, Mr. Customer? Oh, you need something to manage that. Oh, well, maybe you're going to need Tivoli as well on top of that. Oh, right, that'll be another license fee for you. Okay? So when you're talking in regards to IBM, reduce the server space, power, remember your consolidation plays. I think you guys, for the purpose of your foundation, have got a call, right? Right, you've got some sort of a call. And basically, you know, it's important. Let's say, for instance, virtualization. One of the ones that they might come up with, they might say to you is, "Oh, this is such new technology. We don't trust virtualization." We've turned the turning point this year, actually it was last year, according to Gartner. Over 50% of server deployments worldwide is in a virtual nature now. Okay, so if they come at you in the, let's say in the foundation test or whatever it's called, and in the call, and they ask you, they might say one of their objections will be, well, that technology is not tried and trusted. Actual fact, the virtualization technology has been around for about 35 or 40 years. Okay, it's just the processor speeds were so slow, but now the processors have caught up to the virtualization technology. Okay. IBM, in some respects, under x86 is using VMware. Not sure why that should be here because IBM's virtualization offering on AIX, their Unix offering is LPAR. Okay. Once again, don't talk about price. You're talking about IBM. You talk about global service, the consultancy fees, the extra add-ons. Don't go box for box. Okay, because IBM can be very manipulative on boxes. I was working on a implementation in a Australian institution 3 or 4 years ago, and the implementation would have been, total cost would have been about 20 million. So it seemed like a fairly big implementation. And I just anecdotally said, who's supplying the hardware? And they said, oh, we are, of course, being IBM. I said, how much does that cost them? Oof, they're getting it for free. Okay? IBM's model is different. Okay? So in other words, they'll throw consultants at it and give them the software for free. You got a $20 million deal. It's not really about the hardware these days. Remember when always keep that in the back of your mind. When we do some of the, let's say I do an ODA to 8th rack exadated comparison, and you see then where it's actually more about the software as opposed to the hardware. But always have in the back of your mind that IBM might be trying to undercut you by giving away the hardware. Okay? It's the resellers who invariably will be selling IBM hardware to the customer, you know? Or their VARs.
In fact, what we have done in South Africa is that we have asked our VADs, because most of the VADs present their quotation to partners.
Pardon?
So in South Africa, what we have done is, right at the quotation purpose, when we are competing against IBM, we are asking the quoting team to add cost of OVM and Solaris in it, which is 0.0, but you're adding it as a line item.
Looks nice.
They're doing it?
Yes, they are doing it.
Quoting team?
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, but not our, okay.
Not our quoting team.
It's a good point, actually. I must remind myself.
So in fact, we are also adding the crypto price, because IBM have to add this. This is a good point that he brought in.
Okay.
Because we spoke to Phil Dunn and we compared prices. I think that if you want to compete with IBM, compete upfront.
Okay.
Don't compete on, ambiguous things saying that
Yeah.
we have a OS. So we mentioned words like premium OS, you know,
Yeah.
Exactly.
or Solaris Enterprise Edition.
Yeah.
So that they have to compare and they have to get their Enterprise Edition, which blows up the price.
Yes.
Crypto Accelerator, we have to mention.
Yeah.
They will mention it will be like 15,000.
It'll be a line item in the quote.
line item, but
But what you're saying, I fully agree. If you're doing a quote, basically put the line item in there, because then that's 000,000.
yeah.
Whereas the IBM have to quote, let's say monitoring software or Tivoli, whatever, they're going to have to put a line item in there. For Oracle Enterprise Virtualization, call it what you want, okay?
Right.
But, it's a zero line item. It's going to cost zero.
Op Center.
Up Center
App Center.
it comes for free too.
Free too. And
So the management, and then all of a sudden, well, what are you going to manage it with? Oh, Tivoli. Oh, thank you very much. That's a higher cost again. So remember, the add-ons are the things that kills us, that kills IBM and deals against us. And let's say, okay, let's talk about other x86 competitors: Dell, Cisco, Hewlett-Packard, whatever. They don't. Well, Dell, Cisco, for instance, don't have their own processor. We have our processor. We'll go into it when we do the T5. They're using obviously Intel and AMD. They're not really competitors in our market. These are just system integrators. Okay? They don't offer the complete solution. No roadmap. Basically, they're relying on where Intel are going, and they're relying on where AMD are going. Now, obviously, you turn around to us and say, well, that's the same for your x86. Okay, but it's a different discussion. Okay. Unfortunately, we are beholden to Intel. So that's some of the discussions you're going to have with our customers. A bit more now. So if we're going to, let's say, what are we going to do? What's in an x86 that you get, that you don't necessarily get? What do you get in a T41 that you don't get in an x86? So why does the customers choose Spark? 8 reasons. Reliability. That, I said there's a tradition with Sun for reliability.
Yes.
They're saying here it's a hallmark, okay, for years, and it continues. So you got to leverage the good name that Sun has, and the affection some sysadmins, because they used it for years, have for all things Sun. Okay.
Looks like they have it.
Okay, we'll take that one offline. They got better performance results with the T4. Okay. Real world workloads, not esoteric spec results. So basically what they do is they do real world performance testing. SPEC is a standard that sometimes we don't like when people use spec to compare our hardware with, okay? Commitment, and we have a roadmap which I will be showing you. Let's say for the next, so we have a roadmap which will show where we're going until, let's say, 2016, 17, 18. Okay, with the Spark processor. For instance, where's HP's roadmap? Who knows? Intel said, pull the plug. So HP don't have nothing comparable. Okay? Number one, Unix system for performance, security. We've got the public roadmap. We also guarantee the backwards binary compatibility. So apps running today on your legacy systems can move to newer Spark hardware in a virtualized fashion, and they can still run without any problems. Savings literally, this is millions in migration costs. Security. We don't have there's no other vendor that does this. On-chip encryption, nobody else has it. The other one, it's a bit of a marketing spiel, but it's Oracle's integrated stack.
On-chip encryption with 16 best of industry encryption algorithms inbuilt in that.
Exactly.
IBM does not even have 8 or 10.
No. So we've got our integrated stack, the Oracle stack, and then we've got the only vendor in the industry with all the pieces in the stack to offer and deliver real value for application solutions.